kids that are European, it's different. If you are ancestor, it could be different. In be something else. In Romania, can be something else. In Slovakia, can be something else. Immigration laws are different based on country. When we were talking about our rights of citizens in that country, whether they are Christian, Muslim, or Jews, are they different between the three? No.
I understand that, but there is a difference. There's going to be different. I'm not arguing from a moral standpoint. Oh, it's like
I mean, in Lebanon, it is upon.
Lebanon
to be a specific religion in order to be prime minister.
No, there's a level of, I would even argue, a level of apartheid there.
Exactly. And the funny thing is that all those accusations of apartheid are coming from people that live in countries that have apartheid to a country that doesn't have apartheid.
Yeah, I mean, I'm acknowledging that like when it comes to the Lebanese system, yeah, there is a level of apartheid there, right? So not like you cannot basically given your religious background, you can't, let's say, have this sort of like position, right? So that's gonna be a level of apartheid there, right? But I was just I was just commenting on what you were saying to the other guy. I would say there's one example, right? Just I think few exceptions.
No, it's not about. But you're thinking a different religion has to be Muslim.
No, not just Muslims. Any religion, right? So any Israeli who is not Jewish.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I need to check it, but I'm not. I mean, of course, there are like as a Jew, you have like you can do Aliyah, but you don't have to be a Jew, by the way. You can also be like a descendant of a Jew or married to a Jew. Basically, to make it simple, whatever Hitler saw as a Jew, we can consider. Basically, anyone that would be prosecuted for being a Jew, which means also if your grandmother was a Jew, you will still be killed by Hitler, so you can come for a refugee in Israel. That's the idea.
Yeah, I know that. I think it's called the Israeli citizenship law, and there's a principle. It's called the law of return, right?
Law of return, yes.
Yeah, but that's I think part of the citizenship law of Israel, where
yes, it's part of becoming a citizen.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously would entail that like non-Jewish Israelis, like Muslim Israeli, for example, who is ethnically not Jew, but Arab, let's say, that he's not able to invite his family as easy, like as a Jewish person. I think you would agree with that, right?
No, I think that, again, if you would take any country on earth, okay, you will have different procedures for different things. If you're a refugee, you need to do this. If you come for school, you need to do this. If you come for family reunion, those are the rules. Same for Israel. If you get married, it doesn't matter with who, there are those rules. If you, buy property, maybe there's such a law. If you're a Jew or ancestor for Jew, this is a law. It's just another option. It doesn't mean that others cannot. There are many other laws that apply for many other people around the world. This is why you see people that are not Jewish immigrating to Israel. They're just not using this reason that because I'm a descendant of a Jew. That's it.
Even there's going to be an ethnic dimension, right?
If you want to immigrate to Europe, you can do it based on. For example, I'm a doctor that has a very specific skill, and they will accept you. And another one because he's a refugee from a country.
I know. But I'm just saying that there's gonna be like on some issues there's gonna be the purely ethnic dimension, right? That on some issues, your ethnic background would make, for example, such a process easier. Like for example, in the case of law of return, which allows Jews from all around the world to become Israeli citizens.
And non-Jews.
But that process of a non-Jew would take years, right?
No. I'm saying law of return. It's the same law for Jews and non-Jews. You can be also a non-Jew and use the law of return. If, for example, your grandmother on the mother's side or whatever was a Jew, or for
but that means you're ethnically Jew, right? Obviously, you're gonna be ethnically Jew. I'm not talking about religion.
Okay, so even if you are not Jew, not ethnically Jew, but you are married to a Jew, you can also do that.
Yeah, but that's gonna be like the Israeli citizen, right? Is married to so Israeli Jewish citizen is married to
not Israeli. No, not Israeli.
Oh, so if I'm married to a Jewish woman, let's say, right? And we're both living in Europe. I would be able to move to Israel unrestrictedly because of this woman. But if I was married to, let's say, a non-Jewish woman, this wouldn't be the case, right? So there's going to be an ethnic dimension there. I'm not saying it's...
That is not an ethnic dimension. That's how countries work. Any country in the world.
Yeah, but there's a difference between ethnicity and obviously having the same nationality. A Jewish person in Europe doesn't have...
Differently. Okay, we have immigration law, let's say, like any other country. Plus, because Jews are prosecuted and were killed based on, even if their grandmother, not ethnically, even if it was from the father's side, according to Hitler, we wanted to make sure that those people will always have a place to go, because during the Holocaust, there were countries that did not accept refugees. So on top of all the other options that countries have for immigration, we have this one. I'm sure that if you go to other countries, you will see that if you're a Muslim, for example, you have this, and if you're not Muslim...
Yeah, I think it's understandable. I think it's understandable. It's a Jewish country.
What's the problem with that?
But I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm saying it's understandable, given that you guys are Jews, and obviously you will have a lot of empathy with Jews in the world. We know that Jews have been persecuted for a very long time. So I understand where you're coming from and understand it. I was just commenting on what you guys were saying earlier, that there's going to be distinctions there on some matters, but I'm not saying it's necessarily like immoral. I understand it. This also happens in some Islamic countries where Muslims will have an easier process, right? So I'm not saying...
Listen. I will give you another example. There was a war last year, okay, and we decided to accept Ukrainian refugees, okay?
Yeah.
So you had to be, I don't know how we call it, ethnically Ukrainian to get it. We didn't open it for all refugees. You can also say this is not fair, but no, they were in need. We decided to open, so we made a law that would allow for, I don't know, 70, 80,000 Ukrainian immigrants to come, regardless of their whatever, but just based on their nationality. Is this also not okay? I mean...
But I'm not making a moral argument.
But the thing is that you are kind of trying to shine a light on one law.
No, I'm not. I was just commenting what I said earlier. I'm not saying, like, I'm acknowledging that this happens also in other countries. And I'm not saying it's, like, this is a form of, like, unjust treatment. I'm just saying that this what the facts are. But I'm not saying I understand it, given obviously that Jews have been persecuted. So obviously, as if you have a Jewish state, you're gonna allow Jews to enter with an easier process, like for example in the case of Ukrainian refugees.
I'm not sure it's easier, by the way. I'm not sure it's easier. I think it's easier to show, for example, a certificate that you're a doctor than to prove that your great-grandmother was a Jew. I'm not sure it's easier. I'm just saying it's different. Maybe it even will take maybe longer because they need to verify that people don't go in. It's harder to go in and to go to the roots. I don't know if it's easier.
I mean, as far as I know, it's the time to attain a citizenship as a Jew is much shorter. But again, like I'm not saying this is necessarily I'm not arguing from a moral standpoint. I'm just saying what like sort of distinctions there are going to be, right? That this equal rights. I think in no country there's going to be fully equal rights. There's going to be, on some matters, distinctions and all of that. Like, for example, in the case of Ukrainian refugees in Southern Europe, right? I've seen the news. For Syrian refugees, obviously, it's much harder to live in Europe than Ukrainian refugees. Ukrainians have a much easier process, directly could work and stuff like that. I'm not saying, like, I'm not arguing from a moral standpoint, I'm just showing the distinctions, right?
I'm not saying morality, I'm saying that
Yeah.
European. So it's easier by, not because of, because even a German who come to France, it would be easier for him to get a job than me coming to France because I'm not European. So I'm not part of an agreement.
As far as I know, the Ukraine is not part of the. They're part of.
You're right, actually. Sorry, you're right.
But like I'm not anything arguing that inside Israel, the Israeli state, there's apartheid or anything. I'm just showing. I was just commenting on some of the distinctions, but that's.
Kind of clarify what you when you say either.
If you want to talk to us, you need to leave the tunnel. Andre, if you want to talk to us, you need to leave the tunnel. Go to the surface, ask a question, and then go back.
where are you from? If you want to share that, maybe you know.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm Israeli.
Yeah, but like, are you from Tel Aviv or like, are you from other region?
Now I moved like 3 years ago to Germany, but my life center is still Tel Aviv. It's where I was born and raised, and it's where I also go every like month and a half.
Are you more of a leftist or are you more leaning towards right wing parties?
I'm not this and not that because I don't know what because those labels mean different things for different people. So I have my own opinions about different things, and some of them might be considered left, some might be considered right. I have no idea. People kind of use those words too abusively.
You can't get a straight answer from him, you know?
I'm a liberal, I'm a
Of
realist
course,
also.
Are your
He's
friends
a-
lefties
he's a-
or righties?
he's
Also,
He's
follow-up
an
question,
Isaist.
are you gay?
I'm like a liberal and I'm a realist, is what I said.
I see.
Where do you
Ask
live?
about specific topics, where I stand, and then you can decide if I'm left or right. I just don't know
Daniel,
what-
can you get closer to your mic? It's you sound a little bit far. Yeah.
Hold on.
I think he's pretty lefty.
Daniel? No. He's like me. It's like more classical liberal.
Right-wing Israelis talk like Shuki.
No, exactly. No, is it better now?
Know. Yeah, much better.
Okay. I mean, no, exactly. This is why I don't answer those questions because I don't think that Shuki is right. Like, ask me about topics and you can decide what I think about this. In some things I would be considered left. In some things I would be considered right.
But in terms of voting, like
Yeah, I'd say like in the English-speaking context among American English speakers, you'd be roughly a lefty.
I don't think so.
I don't know. And also our political parties are like, are not left and right. It's just like a label.
Yeah, I know.
are you? But the like, if you had to vote, like, which maybe you don't want to share that. Which party would you go for?
You would vote Trump every day.
Like in the United States.
No, it's true.
Probably now for guns, maybe.
So you wouldn't go for like a very like liberal, like Lapid, those guys.
No, and also I will not go right wing. I think it's about at the end like both are wrong. Those that are going to right and to left, like and those are usually what people are painting like right and left are based on the mark on the like things that are at the edge. And I'm kind of like different opinions about different topics. I don't think that any party really is exactly what I want. But this is the closest. Something that uses logic more than emotion, which is something that both edges use, like emotions and not like logic and sense.
Okay, yeah, so more like a centrist.
Upon, where do you live?
Lebanon.
You live in Lebanon. Okay. But you are from there, or you live there as well?
I currently live in Lebanon. Yes.
Okay.
Can you leave right now? I mean, I understand that I don't know if the airport resume operation or not.
Yeah,
You think Donald will be the Prime Minister?
What did you say?
Daniel, do you believe that Benny Gantz will become Prime Minister?
I don't know. He could. I don't know. Yeah, he has a chance. He has a high chance, I think, compared to others.
You think he's the most competent guy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's an overall thing.
Okay, I hear. He has an amazing record.
And it's about, like, again, the standards, moral, honesty, integrity. People can be wrong, but, you need to admit that you're wrong and you need to fix it. Not say I was not wrong and then you do it again, because it doesn't really matter if you're left or right, or if you put around yourself, like, people that you cannot respect. So you'll be, there are many things that the ideology is necessarily the only thing. It's also how you, the decisions that you make.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that it's time for Israel to replace Netanyahu?
Yes.
And you
He's
say
been
no.
there for a long time.
No. Like, it's time. He's right. It's been
Yes.
a year.
But it has
Actually,
been
Andre, you're in the matrix.
Eat some pizza. Pizza, beef.
It's also time to end the occupation too. Don't let it continue.
So
Is this
I was saying
Yes.
no, I think it's
One momento.
Change his name.
so wasn't like Netanyahu pretty much in power since like 90s, maybe somewhere around like that's when he entered
He left
like the
power
big
and
league.
came back.
Okay.
Mostly. Not all the time, but mostly.
Yeah. I mean, it was like in and out. I just wanted to actually ask Upan a quick question just to clarify. So, Upan, you said that it's easier for Ukrainians than Syrians to find jobs in Europe. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean,
For the process.
yeah, so like Syrians and this is I'm just going off from the sources I have, but as far as I know, Syrians in like Northern Europe, and for example, take the Netherlands as an example, they can work without having like any sort of I mean, they can obtain the permit without any process.
Stop Netanyahu. Word is upset.
Okay, so just to clarify, this is not quite accurate. There has been a policy that's been enacted by the European Union that gave Ukrainian like a sort of a special status because of the proximity of their war, and which allows them to obtain visas, like working visas, before they even enter the country. So it's not the distinction between like the origin. Well, I mean, it is sort of distinction between the origin, but it's actually a policy that's enacted. It's not some sort of cultural or or a governmental specific policy that targets them.
But as far as I know, in like the Netherlands, they have if they have temporary protection, if they have been granted that, then they can work. Like they don't have to go through any process. As soon as they have temporary protection, they can work. But in the case of Syrians, it's not the case, right? If they have temporary protection, they would have to go through a process and all of that.
I'm not sure. I need to clarify this, but I don't believe so. I think there is a separate process, like in any country. Like asylum seekers still have to go through the process of obtaining working permit separately. So it's not like a package that is given to you with immediate.
So this is from the Dutch state official website. I'm just reading from here. It says that Ukrainian refugees are allowed to work in paid employ in the Netherlands without a work permit.
Correct. Because of their special status within the EU, not because.
Yeah.
So there's I think it's I forget the exact name, but I think it's like Schengen visa that is given to them that gives them certain privileges, because of the type of visa that they're getting. So it's not necessarily that they like they're targeting Syrians or Syrians are mistreated. Like there's a general rule for all the refugees, and then Ukrainians, because of their situation, were given by EU, not just specific countries. By EU was given a special status.
Yes, I was just saying this is specifically given to Ukrainians by the European Union, then, right? Obviously, Ukraine is not part of the European Union.
That's besides the point, though.
Yeah, but
it was an agreement between I think it was trilateral actually. It was like United States, European Union, and Ukraine, and this is how they obtained that status.
Yeah, so in the case of Ukrainians, the process is much easier because of this, right? In the case of Syrians, it's not. Now, I was just mentioning as an example that there's also obviously like these distinctions.
But they come from a different country, right? So
Yeah.
It'll be similar. I think silly to say that like people who come from Costa Rica have a much harder time than Ukrainians obtaining a work visa You know, and it's just implying some sort of discrimination. No, it's because of the
I'm not implying
situation.
that. I'm not implying that.
Okay.
I wasn't making an argument. We were just talking about like certain distinctions, some matters in like Israel when it comes to like law of return and stuff. And I was just saying to like Daniel that obviously it's like I understand this, and I'm not arguing that like, from a moral standpoint. This also happens in like Europe with like Ukrainians and like other type of refugees, that Ukrainians have a much easier process because of like
Racism.
not just where they came from. Obviously, this nuance like there's this
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like for a certain period of time, like for example, Afghani refugees had a privileged status because of the situation in their country, and so the European Union was much more lenient towards them, and so was the actually United States, because of the once again a certain condition.
Yeah, I'm not denying that.
So I was just curious about then, like what type of when were you trying to?
Yeah, I was just mentioning it as an example that when like he was saying that this episode, he actually mentioned Ukraine. He was like when it comes to Ukrainian refugees in Israel, they have like there's an exception for them, right? I was just saying this obviously also happens in Europe, so I understand that, but like how Ukrainians have a different process than like other types of refugees.
Open, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
How much is the resistance capability is not known for public, particularly for the Zionists?
You mean the capabilities of them?
Yeah, how much is how much is the Lebanese resistance military capability is still unknown for
So you're saying that Upon would know
the
about
question
the
was asked to
Israeli
Opan,
security
not to you,
services?
Daniel.
No, I'm just asking you, Soren. Do you think that Upon knows about the secret military ammunition, whatever capabilities of Hezbollah? Things that Israeli intelligence do not know? This is why you ask him?
I said public.
You assume that he knows more?
Public, not intelligence.
Yeah, so you think that he knows? Oh, got it.
No, I'm talking about the capabilities that obviously if you live in a region that you would probably have no better understanding of the capability of the resistance movement. So
I do live in the region and I do have an understanding, but you asked him of something else. You asked what do they have that we, the Zionists, don't know. So
I said how much surprise we should expect if this all-out war happened.
I mean, so look, obviously,
He
like,
doesn't even know what he wants to ask. Okay.
Daniel,
He basically wants you to say something along the line.
relax.
Hezbollah is very big and it will
Take a
destroy
glass of
Israel.
water. Relax.
Look, I don't have intel, obviously. I don't know what they exactly all have. They may have a lot of like unknown weapons, right? They wouldn't, out of strategic reasons, they wouldn't unveil that, right, to the public, nor to anyone else. But if we're going off what the analysts have said, which isn't like not everyone is familiar with like the analysis of like these analysts, and therefore do not really know what power this group has, right? But according to most analysts, they have around 150k to 200k missiles, and they have a lot of precision types of missiles, ballistic missiles, right? So I'm just going.
How many launchers? How many launchers?
When it comes to smaller rockets, they have thousands.
No.
Right?
Launchers, not smaller. Like basically, it's like saying how many bullets I have, but how many guns do you have?
Yeah, but the launchers, right? So the Katyusha rockets, for example, these launchers, they have thousands of them, right? When it comes to ballistic missiles, the launchers of these.
The Katyusha launcher is usually 48 launches per like this truck, and Katyusha travels like 20 kilometers. This is not like the mighty force, the Katyusha. Katyusha is like the thing that you are terrorizing just the border.
What did you say? I'm talking about the Katyusha type of missiles, right? They have these type of launchers, right? Which
No,
cost
so
around
the Katyusha launcher is like between 12 and 48, depending on how many racks you put, and the flight is about 20 kilometers.
Yeah, so I'm just going off from these missiles. They have thousands. Obviously, the ballistic. I know the missile itself, the launchers, right? I mean, according to what the Sayyid has said, They have thousands of them. That's why they're using them now in the skirmishes, because when Israeli Air Force attacks them, it costs them nothing. They have thousands of them. They can repair it easily. When it comes to ballistic missiles, precision types of missiles, the launches are going to be limited. Now, how many we don't know. But
is
no, obviously not. They have air defense. To limit the play field of Israeli aircraft. They have a few air defense systems, but these are obviously not gonna stop the Israelis from bombing Beirut.
this is what I'm saying. This is why I try to ignore so that is not the one the price. Okay, Lebanese will be, or the Israelis will. This is why he kind of likes to, like. Do you think? This is what I'm trying to understand. Like, this support for Hezbollah, don't you?
From the north, and also pressure from US
So what?
countries.
Let's say we have ceasefire with Gaza. How? It's not an agreement with you guys. It's an agreement with Gaza.
Yeah, right. But what they have said is that as soon as there is a ceasefire, they will completely stop, and they will even agree to some drawing back from the border. They will agree to that if there is a ceasefire. So
What do you mean they will agree to this? They already said that if there is a ceasefire, they will pull out to the Litani River.
yeah, there are reports of this actually that they will pull out of the
What do
Litani.
you mean reports? Nasrallah,
I'll show you actually.
he can speak for hours. Did he say that if there's a ceasefire, they will immediately retreat their forces?
Nasrallah himself not, but the Lebanese foreign minister said that he was. I think we could avoid a regional war.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with. I think. You need to understand
It has
that
to do with
your eyes, with yourselves,
An agreement.
we are not.
agree that.
we are not part of it.
understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. I'm just saying my stand of one of you is that, and I think the Israelis should also understand this, right? That if there is a ceasefire and the attacks from the south stops, obviously the most realistic thing is to look how can we now come to a peaceful agreement so that in the future we won't have a regional war. Obviously,
There is an agreement upon. You're just in violation of that agreement.
I know.
There is an agreement already in place. You are violating it.
I know there have been violations since the 7th of October, right?
No, before. No, way before. According to the 1701, the Hezbollah should not cross the Litani River.
Right.
They didn't move there on 7th of October. They were there before. They are already in breach of an agreement. So you need to understand, I think, that if there will be a ceasefire, our aim in our war in Lebanon has an objective, okay? The objective is to return safety and security. As long as there is threat that we see as threat, we will continue, regardless of what we have with Gaza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to comment on that, right? Look, the thing is that if we're looking currently, I agree. Sorry, someone is calling me. Just a second, someone's calling me. Let me turn my phone on not disturb. Okay, anyways. I agree, there are violations going on. Now, the violations that have happened since the 7th of October, right? These violations will directly stop as soon as there's ceasefire. Now, when it comes to the withdrawal of Hezbollah, according to the foreign minister of Lebanon, and not just him, but also sources close to Hezbollah, they have all confirmed that if there is a ceasefire, they will withdraw. They will stop any violations. And in that case, obviously, maybe the Israelis will do a few things, assassinations here and there. But I think with that, a regional war is avoided in that region.
Okay, and if there is no ceasefire, as it looks like?
I think it will continue. And I think there maybe if there's no ceasefire, we could see potential war, right?
There will be. This is what I'm trying to tell you. First of all, I don't see a ceasefire happening. And if this is the only term that Hezbollah says to stop attacking Israel, then I hope you really understand that we have no other choice but to remove that threat?
I'm understanding it from the Israeli point of view. You have that at your border. You don't want that if they're constantly attacking the northern villages, right? I understand you want to remove that threat. One of the reasons why Hezbollah has started this is also to relieve some sort of pressure on the Palestinians, so that they would go more towards the focus of more towards the north.
What do you think? Do you think that, like, in what ways do you think that they assisted in the last 10 months?
I'll tell you. So the invasion of Gaza took much longer because of Hezbollah's and Iranian threats, right? According to most reports,
let's say that you are right, which you are not. But you think that making the war last longer is good for the Palestinians or bad for the Palestinians? Let's say that you are right. I don't think it's true.
What was their intention? Hezbollah's intention was to avoid such an invasion of Gaza by threatening, and Iran also threatened, right? They wanted to stop this invasion. Now, obviously, they didn't succeed in that, and they did invade. Now it took a bit longer for them to invade, right? They were more patient, right? The Israelis in regards of that, and then they invaded. What Hezbollah was, what their intention is to basically get the focus more towards the north, and also putting pressure on the Israelis, and not just the Israelis, but also on the US and others, to let them know that if there's no ceasefire, if the war continues, then we might see a regional war, which is obviously something that also the US wants to avoid, and other countries. And this is sort of pressure that they're putting on the Israelis to come to an agreement.
Do you believe this?
I
This
do believe
is
that.
anything like yesterday, for example, Israel launched a wide-scale operation in the West Bank on a few camps in East Jerusalem, and a few targeted attacks in Lebanon, and that is on top of what we're doing in Gaza. Do you think that the Katyushot being thrown from Lebanon are really like doing any impact? And again, you said I don't agree with you that it kind of made the invasion take longer. Let's say that you're right. I'm just trying to say, is this a good thing for the Palestinians that were like refugees from their house, displaced? Now we tell them, it will take another month or 2 months. I'm not sure that this is really helpful.
Let me tell you this. This also somebody said by Nasrallah. The Palestinians want to do more. Actually, they want us obviously to escalate this, and also in their interest, they want that, right?
And how does that impact?
I'll just say it. Obviously, staying much calmer, right, in this situation with what they want from us. We don't want this to be an all-out war. We want to avoid that, right? But we are taking part in the skirmishes. Now, how is this helping them? Firstly, it's more of to show support to them, in their eyes, to show them that.
And you're willing to pay the price?
I mean, if you look at what the Southern Lebanese are saying, not all Lebanese, but some Lebanese, they're willing to pay the price. But this is mainly also because of the culture. It's a very different culture.
No, I understand, but I mean, it's not just. I mean, they will also pay the price. Baalbek, I mean, and I feel sorry because I'm trying to talk to you guys, and I understand the support. I'm not sure why you are willing to
Speaking about the culture,
No, so and so. No, we're not speaking of something.
I mean, it's not
No, actually, Apon was speaking, and he's actually contributing in the conversation.
You don't let other people talk. Is it
Okay,
Apon
what
was
is your
speaking.
contribution going to be, Soren?
If you allow me, I will. But this
You will move the conversation somewhere else.
No, I won't. Relax, Daniel.
Okay,
About the
go ahead.
culture. How much? He actually, for the first time, Daniel, come up with a good point. The culture. How much has that actually contributed to the fact that many people, including Daniel, does not know about the culture of Muharram, culture of Arba'in? Like these terms that I threw out, he doesn't even know what I'm talking about. You know. How much is that the fact that they don't know about the culture of Imam Hussein? And that's what he asked this stupid, silly question.
Yeah, like Shia, obviously they yearly commemorate the martyrdom of a very important figure for the Shia, just Imam ibn
Dude,
Hussein.
hold on. Soren, do you really think that I don't understand the ideology of jihadists?
It's not jihadi.
Please, do some grass.
It's not
Soren,
jihadi.
Soren,
So that's
idiot,
the point.
I explain to you, explain,
It is
Soren.
not jihadi,
Listen,
John
Soren,
Clark.
honey, sweetie, I'm not your father. Stop calling
I'm
me
not your
idiot.
mother. You're not talking to your
So
mother.
stop calling me idiot. How you call your father? Please talk with
I'm
respect.
not your mother.
Soren, oh my God.
Soren, you'll be kicked out if you will.
Oh, now you can
Soren, if you will not know how to behave yourself, if you not know how to be,
swallowed you, Daniel?
Soren, how old are you?
yes, it's like a child. We had a normal conversation, and then you starting cursing and
This is
talking
not
bullshit.
West Bank, you know. This is.
Soren, if you're gonna interrupt, I will have to,
Anyway,
I will have to,
Soren, mute up.
I will have to
Mute up,
kick you, and
Soren.
I cannot put you down.
In
Just
the
mute
real
up.
life, you can't. You know that, don't you?
I told you you have.
Okay.
Soren, in the real life, I will spit on you also.
In
Soren.
real life,
Mute
you're
up.
too short. You even see my hair.
Okay. Upon,
Yeah,
let's go
but
back to
he's
you.
hot.
I'm sorry, I
You're not.
apologize for
He
Soren.
entered the
Shut up,
room. I told you
Daniel.
you had to kick him.
Okay, anyway.
So the
Upon.
question was very
How do you
simple.
say your name,
Lisa,
Upon?
you know, the
Yeah.
question was very simple. How much is the last?
Soren, we heard you. Thank you. Soren, we heard you.
Shut up,
Thank you.
Daniel. I'm
Upon,
just asking the. What the
Upon,
fuck
go
is
ahead.
wrong with you, Daniel? Are you?
go ahead.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So you need to mute
What
up.
the hell is wrong with you, Daniel, today? You didn't get your pills
Okay,
again?
you said your thing. Soren, relax. Jesus.
Told you to
Upon.
kick him.
Soren,
You
do you
wanna-
always talk in this whiny tone?
No, let's not address Soren.
Ronnie, he doesn't even want to because he knows
Oh,
the only
okay,
guy-
Soren, don't
Get
answer the
up,
question.
get up.
Exactly, don't ask me questions because
Upon.
But the question
I'm
was
sorry for
simple
this
also.
interruption.
If you know what I mean, you respond to them because
So you're talking about differences of culture upon
yes, the fact that they don't know it. And you know, he simply called it
we
jihadi
heard the
culture.
question,
You hear
Soren.
what
Let
Daniel
upon
means?
answer. Let
It's
upon
not
answer.
jihadi culture.
Less
Daniel.
upon answer. Thank you.
Well,
So-
because
so-
he
so
wants to
this is-
label it as a jihadi culture.
Okay,
which
you
is-
asked the question, Soren, now let him answer.
And so this culture, like you were asking, do they really want to like pay the price? This also has to do with with their culture, like what they do yearly, right, with the commemoration of Imam Hussein, which is a very important figure to them, someone who was martyred in a battle that he knew he was going to lose, right? He was with a couple of dozens against thousands of them. And this culture of constantly commemorating the death, which is commemorating martyrdom. It's really part of their identity, martyrdom, and you see it now happening with
Yeah,
nation.
I
It's
know
mostly
this
young